I've been playing basketball. There's been no really off period, and for me, I feel like that's a really good thing. You just keep the momentum rolling. Good first day. It was hard, but that's what you expect for these practices, and just fun to get out there with all the girls.
You might be thinking, how bad could one practice be? Well, when it comes to Christie Sides' recent coaching decisions, it's just the tip of the iceberg. From questionable timeouts to benching Caitlin Clark in crucial moments, Sides is making waves for all the wrong reasons. Here's why basketball fans are up in arms. Now let's look at the practice video that is making so much noise. Though you've undoubtedly seen glimpses of it on social media, the entire video is quite different. We're talking about drills that would give even the most seasoned pros pause. After running suicides until they are nearly unconscious, players dive right into full court press drills. It's hard, unrelenting, and making both fans and experts doubt Coach Sides' judgment. The thing to remember is that this is not a preseason training camp. Since it's late in the season, most teams are concentrating on resting up and perfecting their strategies. The Fever, though, they appear to be getting ready for a basketball boot camp of some sort when they are outside. You may be asking yourself, isn't this just hard coaching? Don't they develop character? Let's dissect it then. In games, these players are already taxing their bodies to the maximum. Professionals, they know how to put in a lot of effort. However, there's a thin line separating pushing yourself to the limit and going too far. And based on what we're witnessing, Coach Sides appears to have gone over that boundary. A supporter put it simply, why is it that a team that is blatantly tired are back on the practice field practicing this hard already? It's a really insightful question that strikes to the core of the problem. Instead of more punishment, these players need time to heal and rest. Let's discuss the toll this takes on the players though. Physically, this translates into a higher chance of injury, a longer time to recover, and a lower level of performance on game day. In your mind, it's more detrimental. Frequent high-intensity training can cause motivation to drop, burnout, and a loss of enthusiasm for the sport. Does Coach Sides really want her team to play like that? You may now be curious as to what other coaches and players feel about this. The basketball community is certainly full of opinions. It's unhelpful, according to former players, to have this level of intensity this late in the season. Analysts are doubting Sides' comprehension of player rehabilitation and management, and this is where things get really interesting though. Take a look at the Fever's most recent shows. They're losing games they should be winning, they're being lethargic, and they're making easy mistakes. Now that we know why, it's like watching a team operating on empty. What about Caitlin Clark, the promising rookie who was expected to save this team? She's having trouble too, particularly on defense. When she's being run into the ground in practice, is it any wonder? There is a stark difference between what these players require and what they are receiving. They require shrewd, focused training sessions. They require time to relax and heal. They require a coach who is aware of the times when less really is more. Do you recall when Caitlin Clark was dominating collegiate hoops? She was becoming the all-time leading scorer and breaking records left and right, including the NCAA assist record. Everyone believed she would save the Indiana Fever. However, right now, it appears as though we are observing an entirely different player. Now let's discuss the real situation involving Clark. She's having trouble, particularly defensively. Is it really true that her defensive rating is 126th out of 140 players? We know Caitlin Clark better than that. Even though she continues to lead rookies in points, it is insufficient to guarantee her position as the best rookie. The unstoppable force we witnessed in college, what happened to it? You may be thinking at this point that maybe she just needs time to adjust to the pro level. This is where the interesting part comes in. Watch this video from last week's game. Observe Clark's gait. She's taking a step slower, her shots aren't going as planned, and she frequently loses defensive plays. It resembles witnessing a player operating on fume. The worst part is that you probably remember those cruel practices we discussed. The consequences are now being seen on the court. Clark recently played 22 minutes, the fewest of his career. You don't want your star rookie to be like that. It appears as though Coach Sides is attempting to undermine her rather than strengthen her. But the physical cost isn't the only one. Now, let's discuss the mental game. Sides criticized Clark for receiving a technical foul during a recent press conference. "We just need to play our game, let them do their job and not put it in their hands," she uttered. Technical errors should be avoided. Give me the technicals, please. Maybe you're thinking, isn't that just tough love at this point? But here's the thing. Is it really the best course of action to publicly criticize a star player who is already having difficulties? As fans begin to make the connections, they are not pleased with what they discover. There's a developing theory that Clark's transition to the professional ranks is actually being hampered by Sides' coaching style. Consider this. this: incessantly taxing practices, criticism from the public, and erratic playing time. Is this really the most effective method for producing a star rookie? Experts on basketball are also contributing. They are contesting Sides' strategy for player growth. As one analyst put it, you don't expect a rookie to swim flawlessly when you throw them into the deep end. Give them the resources, self-assurance, and encouragement they need to advance. And it doesn't seem like Clark is receiving that assistance at the moment. However, this is where things become very worrying. Clark and Coach Sides were spotted arguing after a recent game. Although the exact words exchanged are unknown, the body language was very clear. Tension is obviously building, and it's having an impact on Clark's play on the court. Now that we've seen Coach Sides in action during practices, let's examine her in-game tactics in more detail, because some of these in-game choices will shock you even more than the practice footage you may have thought was awful. Do you recall that LA Sparks game? In fact, the Fever was ahead, with Clark putting on a fantastic performance. However, Sides abruptly removes Clark from the game, and you can probably guess what occurs. Eventually, the Fever lose the game and their lead. Is it really true? Fans were understandably incensed. It's as if Sides is a chess player and everyone else is a basketball player. But benching Clark isn't the only thing to do. Now let's discuss those timeouts. Do you mean those that appear to arrive at the most inconvenient time? What does Sides do in a game where the Fever were leading 6-0 and gaining momentum? Initiates a timeout. She seems to be attempting to ice her own group. It's possible that you're thinking, maybe she's just trying to make adjustments. The problem is that these choices are made repeatedly in games. This is not an isolated incident. There is a pattern. Let's take a moment to examine the numbers. In terms of defensive stats, the Indiana Fever are dead last. Each game, they are allowing 89.8 points on average. It's not only bad, but historically bad as well. Furthermore, it casts doubt on Sides' capacity to create a successful defensive plan. But don't just believe what I say. Analysts covering basketball are beginning to voice their opinions, and they're not holding back. It was said by a former coach, "You can't at this level coach effort." This statement, which comes straight from Sides, has many wondering, if she can't coach effort, what else can she coach? But it's not all about the numbers. The eye test is the subject. Whenever you watch a Fever game, you'll see players who appear disoriented, out of position, and generally lost when playing defense. They appear to be competing in a distinct sport from their rivals. Not to be overlooked is player development. What is Sides doing when she works with one of the most gifted rookies in WNBA history, calling her out in public, running her into the ground during practice, and benching her at critical times? Is this truly the most effective way to develop young talent? Basketball is a strategic game played on a court similar to chess moves. However, it appears that the league is currently playing 3D chess while Sides is playing checkers. Her player management is drawing criticism from across the league, her defensive schemes are ineffectual, and her rotations are dubious. You had assumed that the fans were angry? It looks like the Indiana Fever fan base is about to blow up, so buckle up. Fans of Coach Christie Sides, who are fed up with her dubious choices, are taking to social media in droves. Have you noticed their remarks? With no holds barred, one fan referred to Sides as the worst basketball coach I've ever seen. Hurt. Can you really blame them though? Something has to give when your team has a generational player like Caitlin Clark, but you're still dropping games left and right. However, it goes beyond the setbacks. Supporters are concerned for Clark's prospects. They're linking the dots between Sides' harsh tactics and peculiar game management, and witnessing this rookie superstar struggle on the court. One must ask themselves, is this the kind of setting in which a young player can flourish? That thought may be crossing your mind now, but maybe the fans are overreacting. This is where things get really interesting though. Not just ardent supporters are demanding reforms. Former players and basketball analysts are also offering their opinions. They are doubting Sides' capacity to nurture talent and lead a polished group of players. However, let us now discuss the long-term effects. It's not just the Fever losing games. Their future is being jeopardized. When will elite free agents begin to shun Indiana like the plague? What about Clark too? How long before she starts looking for a way out if things don't get better? Consider it, for struggling teams, the WNBA draft lottery is a game changer. With Clark, the Fever achieved major success. However, they are wasting a once-in-a-generation opportunity if they are unable to create a winning culture around her. The supporters are aware of this. Calls for Sides replacement are circulating through fan forums and social media. People are speculating about possible replacements and hoping for a coach who can help this team succeed by maximizing Clark's potential. You have to wonder how much longer the Fever's front office can continue to turn a blind eye to the growing pressure. This is the point, though, where we should apply a little break. Even though Sides supporters are demanding his ouster, we are unaware of the entire situation situation within the company. We might be missing some important factors. Perhaps Sides has the backing of influential people in the front office. Perhaps there is a long-term strategy that we are unaware of. Remember that coaching changes aren't always the miracle fix that supporters wish for. On occasion, they may even exacerbate the instability. Does the Fever really need that at this point? Nevertheless, something has to give. The Fever is facing a decision. They have a fervent fan base, a superstar rookie, and endless potential, but it seems like they're throwing it all away right now.